Okay, this is take three on a hill. I keep on clicking the off button before I finished. Huh. Anyway, it's this LeFou channel 347 coming from up on the up on the Runnymede Kipling Hill. I'm back on my this is my Kipling seat. It's a bit overgrown, but we're in the summer and here's a purple one. You like that? It's nice, isn't it? Um, there's some blue dragonflies around when wind drops. It's a bit windy today for the dragons, the blues. There's red ones here as well, and later in the summer I'll show you them. They're beautiful. They are down the hill. Anyway, this is freeloading LeFou again. You know, like I'm 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 getting paid by the British state to sit on a hill like this and tell you about the world. Well, I've got 20 years in the media industry, so I know something about media, and I've got a little kind of like Sony Android, which I'm using to record in the early days of TV stations here, from here, I might add. And it's going to grow. It's going to grow, and you're going to help some way. You're going to help, even if it's like one. Sometimes you're going to have to. You'll start listening to me, and you'll kind of get what I'm talking about. You'll come to understand me, but you won't now because I'm too radical in your mind. It's kind of like I'm not. You're not ready for what I've got to say yet because um, if you were, then the world would be changing. That's as simple as that, really. Let me just I just wanted to touch on education really today, and it's like just to point out something about education, not just in this country, but in the whole world. It's like you take the Japans, the Australias, the Australasias, the Americas, the North and South, the Europes, and everything. The education system is pretty much following the same template all around the world, and it stems from an earlier time, and it's come out of many different things. But basically, the system we have today is a very similar pattern. It's patented for the corporate world worldwide. In other words, people are not learning anything other than what the corporate world needs to keep itself going. And one of the moments that you might recognise is when the imperialists went into places like China and mined the ground for the minerals, and they took religion, the nuns in the back, and they kind of set up a little classroom, and they explained the horror of the illnesses that were apparent now because of the mines. And that we try and help out, and here's the education, this is how you learn, without actually thinking about whether these local indigenous people actually had any intelligence anyway. We didn't think that. This system is worldwide, and it's like you have to understand that conspiracy is a bit of a joke word, really. It's like, yes, we know the world's corrupt. We've always known the world's corrupt. Um, we can join hands on that one, right? Because I have so many conversations where we all know the same thing, um, and the answer really comes as to when and what we want does about the corruption. Do we kind of do nothing and just live in the world? Well, no, it's a mixture. We need people, right, who explain things, and for some reason I've got into a position where I can explain things. Like, it's like media is one of those um, professions that gives you an insight into how to explain things to people. Even though I got long hair, look like a hippie, I can explain things, and you're going to get to understand more of it. But the system we have is an old one that needs to change. Where we live in a nanny state, even though the Conservatives um, like to think that the non-nannying state, we have more nannying than anything. It's like independent schools. Well, yeah, as long as you follow this modular system, and it's basically the modular system that kind of supports the capitalist world that goes into places like Iraq and bombs are blowing living daylights out of tribal people, and then tries to deliver the corporate world on its back, which is basically, it starts with a military sign and then and draws blood and creates loads of illnesses, and then sells its wares, which is basically keeping people unhealthy. It's kind of the same pattern worldwide again. We live in a world which is basically templated, and never more so because technology has allowed the world to kind of mirror itself back all over the world, and it's the one we've got to get off. Really, really. It's like if you don't get off, because most people are gonna, then you will be lost. And you've got to understand that the world is gonna get off this horror story, really, because it is a horror story. It's military. It's killing machine, and it's killing people as you speak. And it's killing people as you speak for what? To hold up what? Nothing. Just your job in a world which should have been free anyway. And it's like um, the conspiracy, right, is much, much, much deeper than you think. And it's like it's that stage where most people do a little bit of conspiracy, yes, but it's nothing to do with me, so we back off. Well, you know, it takes one or two to kind of see it through, and that's me. I'm seeing it through. I've seen through the conspiracy, and I can explain it, but you're gonna have to listen to me more, and then understand that. In understanding, you will understand, but you won't understand at the moment because you're not ready. Because, like, that road down there houses everybody who's on their way in a two-dimensional, one-dimensional trap, which is continuing to feed the system that we live in this country. And it's like I'm going to try and find some humour in places. I'm on this morning when I'm on. Anyway, you got the message, right? It's going to come more at you. What am I on? I'm on this stuff called Clockwork Orange today, and it's not my favourite. My favourite's Cherry Bomb. Clockwork Orange is it's got a clockwork orange flavour to it, which is. Do you remember the film? I do. Remember the scene where the four of them walk into those old couples' home and beat the living fuck out of them, and it's like. What I liked about that was that it's actually portraying everything in a sense that that old couple I hate about life. They saved for their, 60-year-old retirement, and now they're comfortable. They got buttons, but they're in wheelchairs, and they're attached up to the media. And these are the very people that hold the system to the. So the scene was destroy it, rape it, pillage it, and there's so many ways of looking at that scene. It's hugely scary, in a lot of ways, because it kind of came out of in England at the time, which had the skinhead, and it was incorporated the skinhead into its. This was a kind of hallucinogenic skinhead as well. Anyway, I'm going to call it there for a day. We're coming back with more. Look, here's one of them. Can you see that? I don't know whether you can see that. It's just gone away. There's quite a few of them about. Here's another one. Look, oh, there's two coming up. I don't know if you can see those. They're fucking incredible. Look at that. And it's one sitting there now. Yeah, you got a few of those. Anyway, I'm going to go now, and we'll come back on another day. I've got guitar strings, and I'm going to do some songs for you later, and have a nice day. Bye.